Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every journey where the noise becomes loud, the pressure becomes intense, and the path becomes unclear. It's in that moment that doubt whispers, fear rises, and distractions tug at your attention. But hear this truth today. God placed a promise inside you long before the world placed opinions around you. And if God planted it, no force on earth can uproot it. Unless you stop believing in it, life will try to blur your focus. Circumstances will attempt to convince you that what God said no longer applies. You will face seasons where everything in your life feels opposite of everything God promised you. But promises don't expire because of problems. Promises don't evaporate because of storms. A God-given promise stands in the middle of every trial saying, hold on, I'm still here. Some of you are carrying promises that were spoken into your spirit years ago. Promises of healing, promises of restoration, promises of success, promises of purpose, promises of influence. And the enemy's greatest strategy is not to destroy you, because he can't. His greatest strategy is to distract you long enough that you walk away from what God already guaranteed. Don't lose focus because things are taking longer than you expected. Delay is not denial. Waiting is not wasting. Sometimes God slows you down because he needs to build something inside you before he builds something around you. He prepares your character before he reveals your calling. He strengthens your faith before he releases your future. You may feel overlooked. You are not forgotten. You may feel stuck, but you are being shaped. You may feel tired, but you are being trained. The promise God placed on your life is alive, active, and in motion, even if you can't see it. God is working in the invisible while you are walking in the uncomfortable. Refuse to surrender to discouragement. Refuse to bow to fear. Refuse to entertain the voice that says, it's too late. The same God who gave the promise is the same God who will fulfill it. Not because you are perfect, but because he is faithful. Not because you never messed up, but because he never changed his mind about you. Every distraction in your life is a sign that something powerful is on the horizon. Every battle you are facing is confirmation that you carry something valuable. Does not fight what is empty. He fights what is destined. And you are destined. So lift your head, strengthen your stance, sharpen your focus. Keep walking even when the path is dim. Keep trusting even when the evidence is lacking. Keep believing even when the odds are stacked against you. Because when God fulfills what he promised, it will not just bless you, it will bless everyone connected to you. Your promise is bigger than your pain. Your future is greater than your frustration. Your destiny is stronger than your distraction. There are moments in life when the weight of your struggles feels overwhelming, when your circumstances seem to scream louder than your faith. When challenges rise like towering mountains and you wonder if you have the strength to climb even one more step. In those moments, it becomes easy to question everything: your purpose, your direction, your ability, and even your worth. But hear this truth deep in your spirit. The promise God placed on your life is stronger, greater, and more unshakable than any problem you will ever confront. Problems are temporary. God's promises are eternal. Problems come to test you. Promises come to lift you. Problems shift with seasons. Promises stand beyond seasons. You may be facing storms right now. Storms in your finances, storms in your relationships, storms in your emotions, storms in your health. But storms do not cancel what God said. Storms do not rewrite destiny. Storms do not intimidate the God who controls the wind. He said you will rise, you will rise. If he said you will overcome, you will overcome. If he said he has a plan for your life, then no situation, no setback, no betrayal, no disappointment can rewrite his plan. Many people assume that when God gives a promise, the pathway will be smooth and the journey will be easy. The truth is, these promises are proven in pressure. Every great destiny encounters great resistance. Every calling meets contradiction. Every purpose meets problems, not because you're weak, but because what you carry is powerful. Your problems are not a sign that God's promise has vanished. They're a sign that you're getting closer. The enemy doesn't attack what has no potential. He attacks what God is preparing to elevate. Sometimes the biggest battles come right before the biggest breakthroughs. The night becomes darkest before the dawn. The pressure increases before the promotion. Confusion heightens before the clarity arrives. You may be standing in a season where nothing looks like what God promised. You're praying, but the answers seem delayed. You're trying, but progress seems slow. You're believing, but you're tired. Yet even here, even in the exhaustion, the silence, the waiting, God's promise is still alive. It is working behind the scenes. It is moving through the unseen. It is growing roots before it grows fruit. God never gives a promise that is dependent on your strength alone. His promises are backed by His power, His authority, and His faithfulness. Problems, no matter how intimidating they appear, do not have the power to overpower God's word. Think about every challenge you've survived so far. Some situations that should have broken you didn't. Some moments that should have destroyed your joy didn't. Some seasons that should have taken you out only pushed you closer to God. That is not because you are weak. It is because His promise has been carrying you, even when you didn't realize it. Sometimes problems show up not to stop you, but to shape you. God uses challenges to refine your character, deepen your faith, expand your vision, and prepare you for what He already planned. If He allowed the problem, He intends to use it. No pain is wasted when God is involved. No setback is meaningless. No defeat is final. Your problems might feel heavy, but they are not in charge. Your problems may delay you, but they cannot deny you. They may test you. They cannot terminate you. Because the promise of God is the final authority over your life. There will be moments when your emotions tell you to give up. Your thoughts may whisper that the promise was just your imagination. The world around you may convince you that your situation is impossible. Faith is not built in comfort. Faith is built in contradiction. Faith is not proven when everything is easy. It is proven when everything is hard. Faith is not tested when the path is clear. It is tested when you cannot see your next step. And in those places, those deep, quiet, challenging places, God wants you to remember who He is. He is not a man that He should lie. He does not make promises He cannot fulfill. He does not speak destiny without providing direction. He does not declare purpose without giving power. When God says something about your life, that word becomes a force stronger than any barrier, stronger than any fear, stronger than any enemy, stronger than any setback. You may bend, but you won't break. You may struggle, but you won't sink. You may cry, but you won't quit, because the hand that holds your promise is stronger than the storm that battles your life. You must learn to see your problems through the lens of God's promise. Instead of saying, "This problem is too big," start declaring, "My God is bigger." Instead of saying, "This situation is impossible," speak, "Nothing is impossible with God." Instead of saying, "I don't know how I will make it," remind your soul, if God brought me to it, He will bring me through it. And instead of allowing fear to write your future, let God's promise rewrite your belief. Every promise God gives carries a time of preparation. Preparation feels uncomfortable because it stretches you. It requires patience, trust, and endurance. It demands that you keep walking even when the road is rough. Preparation is necessary because God is not only preparing the blessing for you, He is preparing you for the blessing. You cannot step into a great future with a small mindset. You cannot walk into a new season with old patterns. Problems develop the strength you will need to sustain the promise when it manifests. What God began, He will finish. What He planted, He will grow. What He spoke, He will bring to pass. Problems may challenge your faith, but they cannot change your future. The promise is still alive. It is still active. It is still unfolding, even in the background of your struggles. Trust that God is not done. Trust that your story is still being written. Trust that the problems you face today will soon become the testimony you share tomorrow. And above all, trust that God's promise over your life is stronger, far stronger than any problem trying to stand in your way. Life is full of noise, some of it loud, some of it subtle, but all of it competing for your attention. And in the middle of that noise, in the middle of responsibilities, pressures, expectations, temptations, and emotional battles, it becomes easy to lose sight of what truly matters. But hear this clearly, distractions are not just inconveniences. They are strategic weapons. They are designed, timed, and placed intentionally to pull you away from the path God has paved for your life. Distractions aren't random. They are purposeful tools the enemy uses to disconnect you from your destiny. Your destiny is not something casual or accidental. It is heaven-designed, purpose-built, and divinely aligned. It carries weight. It carries impact. It carries influence. That is why the enemy doesn't always try to destroy you with something obvious. Instead, he tries to distract you with something small, because he knows if he can weaken your focus, he can weaken your direction. If he can steal your attention, he can sabotage your assignment. If he can occupy your mind, he can disconnect you from the very thing God created you to do. Distractions often look harmless on the surface, come disguised as opportunities, opinions, obligations, temptations, or emotions. They can come as people who pull you away from purpose, habits that drain your time, or thoughts that pull you backward instead of forward. The enemy rarely shows up shouting, he shows up whispering. He rarely comes with destruction first, he comes with disruption. He doesn't need to defeat you if he can divert you. Because every minute you spend moving in the wrong direction delays the destiny you were born to fulfill. Distractions are powerful because they work slowly. They chip away at your discipline, your passion, your consistency, and your clarity. You don't lose your destiny in one dramatic moment. You lose it in 100 small moments of misdirected focus. You don't fall because you're weak. You fall because you looked away from where you were headed. A distracted mind becomes a wandering mind, and a wandering mind loses alignment. The moment you lose alignment with God's purpose, everything in your life begins to feel out of balance. Some distractions come disguised as comfort. They convince you to settle instead of strive. They whisper, "This is good enough," when God is saying, "I have more for you." Comfort can become a cage when it keeps you from pursuing your calling. The enemy doesn't mind if you're comfortable as long as you're not purposeful. He doesn't mind if you're busy as long as you're not fruitful. He doesn't mind if you're active as long as you're not aligned with God's assignment. Some distractions come wrapped in fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what others will say, fear of stepping into something new. Fear will paralyze you not because you lack ability, because you lose focus on who you truly are. Fear is one of the enemy's favorite distractions because it blinds you to the promise and magnifies the problem. It keeps your eyes on the storm instead of the one who has power over it. And when fear becomes your focus, your destiny becomes distant. Other distractions come through people. People who drain your energy, speak negativity into your vision, pull you into drama that has nothing to do with your purpose. Not everyone you lose is a loss. Some people exit your life because God is protecting your focus. Every connection is not meant to continue. Some are seasonal, some are temporary. Some were only meant to teach you a lesson, not walk with you into your next season. If you allow the wrong people to stay close, they can disconnect you from the right path. Some distractions come through emotions. You cannot walk into destiny while dragging yesterday's wounds, today's frustrations, and tomorrow's anxieties. Emotions are real, but they cannot lead you. When your feelings drive your decisions, distractions take the wheel. The enemy knows if he can stir your emotions, he can shake your focus. And if he can shake your focus, he can shift your future. Distractions also show up in opportunities that do not match your assignment. Everything good is not God. Everything available is not aligned. The enemy knows that if he cannot tempt you with failure, he will tempt you with success. That's outside your purpose. He will send business disguised as productivity. He will send offers that look impressive but pull you away from your calling. He will send noise that looks like influence but lacks God's instruction. Your destiny requires discernment because not every open door is meant to be walked through. The truth is this: your focus is worth fighting for. It is one of the most valuable things you possess. Your focus determines your progression, your decisions, your growth, and your breakthrough. If the enemy can't break you, he will distract you. Because distracted people are delayed people, and delayed people are discouraged people. Discouraged people are disconnected people. That is the pathway to destiny's sabotage. But here is the good news: you are not powerless. You have the ability, the authority, and the inner strength to reclaim your focus. You can choose what you give your attention to. You can choose what you invest your time in. You can choose what voices you entertain. You can choose what aligns with your spirit and what does not. Destiny requires discipline. It requires the courage to say no to what looks good so you can say yes to what is God. To defeat distraction, you must protect your environment. What you watch, what you listen to, who you talk to, what you allow into your spirit, these things shape your clarity. Destiny doesn't grow in chaos. Purpose doesn't flourish in noise. Growth doesn't happen in confusion. Sometimes God has to remove you from certain environments so he can restore your focus. Sometimes he strips away comfort so he can strengthen your character. Sometimes he isolates you so he can illuminate you. Your destiny is too important to be compromised by temporary distractions. The calling on your life is too great to be surrendered to things that don't matter. The promise God gave you is too precious to be traded for moments that only satisfy your flesh but starve your future. Every day you wake up, you must declare, "My destiny is greater than my distractions." Staying focused doesn't mean life will be perfect. It means you've decided that your purpose is worth more than your comfort. It means you've chosen clarity over chaos, discipline over desire, destiny over distraction. It means you understand that the enemy's strategy to disconnect you from your purpose will fail because your eyes are fixed, your spirit is strong, and your heart is aligned. You were created for more than the distractions trying to divide your attention. You were created for purpose, God's purpose. And when you protect your focus, you protect your future. When you guard your mind, you guard your mission. When you silence distractions, you strengthen your destiny. There are seasons in life when you pray with all your heart, when you sacrifice, when you believe, when you obey, and still nothing seems to move. The door stays closed, the answer stays silent, the opportunity remains out of reach. And in that silence, in that waiting, in that long stretch of uncertainty, it becomes easy to assume the worst. It becomes easy to think, maybe God changed his mind, maybe the promise wasn't for me, maybe I'm forgotten. But hear this deeply and let it settle into your spirit. Delay does not mean God has denied you. The waiting season is not a wasted season. The silence of heaven is not the absence of God. We live in a world that teaches us to crave instant results, immediate gratification, and quick success. We expect prayers to turn into answers quickly, dreams to unfold without resistance, and promises to manifest without pressure. But God is not bound by our timelines. His timing is perfect, not because it is fast, but because it is right. When God delays something, it is always purposeful. His timing carries intention. His pauses carry preparation. His silence carries shaping. Sometimes God delays something because the environment around you is not ready. The opportunity may be designed for you, but the timing of the opportunity may not yet be aligned. Some blessings require conditions, growth connections, circumstances that you cannot see yet. God may be aligning people, arranging steps, removing obstacles, preparing situations that will perfectly connect with your calling. But you don't see it yet. What looks like delay is often divine alignment. Times God delays something because you are not ready yet. That's not a punishment, it's protection. God sees what you cannot see. He knows the challenges ahead. He understands the weight of what you're asking for. And he knows that if he gives it too soon, crush you instead of bless you. Some promises require maturity, emotional stability, spiritual strength, discipline, wisdom that can only be developed over time. A promise given too early becomes a burden. A promise given at the right time becomes a blessing. Delay is God's way of saying, I'm preparing you for what you prayed for. It's his way of shaping your character so you can carry the calling. It's his way of strengthening your faith so you can sustain the blessing. It's his way of stretching your endurance so you can withstand the journey ahead. You may feel like nothing is happening, but God is working in the areas you cannot see, the hidden places, the spiritual levels, the internal spaces. Before God changes your situation, he often changes you. There are moments when the delay is also a test, not a test to make you fail, a test to reveal what's inside you. Delay reveals the strength of your faith. Delay reveals the depth of your trust. Delay reveals whether you believe in God's promise or only in your timeline. Many people trust God until He takes too long. Destiny is for those who trust Him, even when He takes longer than expected. Every great story in Scripture and in life carries a season of delay. Those delays led to greatness, not denial. The delay before the blessing is often the birthplace of transformation. Delayed promises are not dead promises. They are strengthened promises. They grow roots. They deepen your resolve. They expand your capacity. They teach you patience, humility, perseverance, and dependence on God. You may be waiting on a breakthrough, a relationship, a financial shift, a healing, a door to open, or a calling to be revealed. And the longer it takes, the more tempted you are to think, maybe it will never happen. But what if the delay is the very thing ensuring that when the blessing arrives, it stays? If the delay is giving you the foundation, you need to not just receive the promise, but keep it. When you look closely, you begin to realize that delay often carries hidden blessings. Delay protects you from settling for less. Delay prevents you from connecting with the wrong people. Delay keeps you from rushing into something that would have derailed your future. Delay pushes you to pray more deeply and trust more fully. Delay reminds you that your life is not controlled by pressure, it's controlled by purpose. Sometimes the delay is God's way of clearing distractions from your path. Sometimes it's His way of removing the people who cannot go with you into your next season. Sometimes He uses delay to expose the motives of those around you, revealing who truly supports you and who only supports your progress. Delay acts as a filter, separating what is temporary from what is destined. There will be moments when impatience creeps in, when frustration rises, when comparison steals your peace. You might look around and wonder why everyone else seems to be advancing while you remain stuck. But everyone's timing is different. Destiny is not a race against others. It is a walk with God. What God has for you cannot be taken by someone else, cannot be rushed by emotion, cannot be delayed forever by obstacles. God's plan is uniquely yours, and the pace of your journey is divinely measured. While you wait, God invites you to lean into Him, to strengthen your prayer life, to grow spiritually, to build discipline, to learn contentment, to develop resilience. Waiting is not passive, it is powerful. Waiting teaches you to rely on God instead of results. Waiting reveals whether your faith is rooted in outcomes or in the one who controls them. One day the door will open, the prayer will be answered, the breakthrough will come. And when it does, you will look back and say, "Now I understand." You will see why God didn't let it happen earlier. You will see the dangers He protected you from, the lessons He taught you, the strength He built in you. You will see that the delay did not weaken the promise, it perfected it. So don't lose heart. Don't stop believing. Let the waiting make you think the promise is gone. It's still alive. It's still unfolding. It's still on schedule. God's schedule, not yours. The delay is not rejection. The delay is not abandonment. The delay is not a divine no. It is simply a divine not yet. Because when God moves, He doesn't just restore the time you lost, He multiplies it. And when the promise finally arrives, you will know without a doubt that every moment of waiting was worth it. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. It is protection. It is positioning. God's timing will always be perfect because His plans for you are still good, still active, and still guaranteed. There is a divine pattern woven throughout time, a pattern seen in every life God has ever elevated, strengthened, or positioned for purpose. Before God reveals the calling, He builds the character. Before He releases the assignment, He develops the vessel. Before He opens the door, He prepares the heart. This is not punishment. It is not delay. It is divine strategy because destiny requires depth. Calling requires character strong enough to carry it. You were created with purpose, designed with intention, destined for something far greater than anything you can currently see. But purpose without preparation leads to collapse. Calling without character leads to destruction. God loves you too much to give you something you're not ready to sustain. His desire is not just to elevate you, but to establish you. Not just to use you momentarily, but to shape you permanently. Many people crave the calling but resist the character building process. They want the platform, but not the pruning. They want the influence, but not the inner work. They want the blessing, but not the breaking. But the truth is this: every calling that carries weight also carries responsibility, and responsibility requires maturity, integrity, humility, discipline, and spiritual strength. These things do not appear overnight. They are built over time. God builds character in hidden seasons. This is why he often takes you through a process that feels quiet, unseen, and unnoticed. It may feel like nothing is happening, like your life is standing still. Prayers are hovering without answers, but what is actually happening is growth, deep internal growth. Growth that cannot be rushed. Growth that cannot be skipped. Growth that cannot be substituted. These moments shape who you are becoming. God is far more interested in your becoming than your arriving. What you become determines how well you can carry the weight of your calling once he reveals it. Sometimes God allows trials not to punish you, but to develop you. Trials stretch your faith. Challenges test your motives. Setbacks humble your pride. Delays refine your character. Pain sharpens your sensitivity to others. Pressure cultivates perseverance. These are not random events. They are tools in God's hands. He uses every experience, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every battle to chisel away what cannot go with you into your next season. If God gave you the calling before building your character, the calling would crush you. Many people want the crown, but they don't want the shaping that prepares them to wear it. They want leadership without learning. They want influence without endurance. They want elevation without foundation. But elevation without foundation leads to collapse every time. The higher God lifts you, the deeper your roots must go. The bigger the assignment, the stronger the character required. The greater the impact, greater the preparation. God never wastes a season. Even the seasons that feel like suffering carry purpose. Even the moments of silence contain direction. Even the disappointments carry wisdom. In every season, God asks, can I trust you with more? Can I trust you in private before I reveal you in public? Can I trust you to handle influence with humility? Can I trust you to carry responsibility with integrity? Often the character building season feels lonely. God intentionally isolates you from certain people, places, and paths because he is refining your identity and reshaping your mindset. He removes voices that would distract you. He detaches you from environments that would limit you. He pulls you away from relationships that would delay you. In the moment, it feels like loss, but in reality, it is protection. You cannot grow in soil that stunts your roots. Character building seasons teach you to depend on God, not applause. They teach you to find your identity in him, not in validation. They teach you to anchor your self-worth in his truth, not in opinions. They teach you to operate from purpose, not pressure. These lessons become the foundation of your calling. You cannot lead others if you cannot first lead yourself. You cannot inspire others if you have not learned perseverance. You cannot guide others through storms if you have not survived storms of your own. You cannot carry a calling if you still crumble under conflict. You cannot step into destiny if you still run from discomfort. That is why God builds character first, because your calling requires someone emotionally, spiritually, mentally strong enough to move forward even when life becomes difficult. The waiting season is often where character grows the most. Waiting purifies motives. Waiting removes entitlement. Waiting teaches patience. Waiting strengthens faith. Waiting kills pride. Waiting reveals your true desires. While you're waiting, God is shaping your heart into the kind of heart that can handle the promise without losing humility, gratitude, or dependence on him. You may feel like you're in a season of preparation that's taking too long, but preparation is never wasted. God is not just preparing the blessing for you. He is preparing you for the blessing. What looks like delay is actually development. What feels like stagnation is actually strengthening. What feels like silence is actually strategy. And one day the calling will reveal itself. One day door will open. One day the opportunity will manifest. One day the breakthrough will arrive. When it does, you will understand why God took you through the journey he did. You will understand why certain people walked away, why certain things didn't happen sooner, why certain prayers seemed unanswered. You will see that God was building you, your maturity, your discernment, your resilience, your integrity, your compassion. Do not despise the season you are in. Do not resent the process. Do not rush what God is building. Instead, embrace it. Let patience work. Let growth stretch you. Let discipline refine you. Let humility anchor you. Let faith strengthen you. Let God shape you into the person who can not only receive the calling, but carry it with excellence, purpose, and grace. Because when God finishes building your character, He will reveal your calling. And when He reveals it, no person, no obstacle, no season, and no force in hell will be able to stop what God has prepared you to become. There are battles you fight in silence, moments you carry burdens no one else can see, and seasons of pressure that feel almost too heavy to bear. And yet, it is in these very moments, those unseen, heard, unspoken struggles, that something powerful has taken shape. Nothing you are going through is wasted. Nothing you endure is random. The hidden battles of your life are not signs of weakness. They are signs of preparation. They are evidence that something great is being built within you. Something that will eventually rise to the surface in a way even you could not have imagined. You see, the greatest victories are prepared in the quiet places. The strongest warriors are shaped in the dark. The most impactful destinies are developed not on the mountaintop, but in the valleys where no applause can be heard, where no spotlight shines, where only God sees the grind, the tears, the doubts, and the perseverance. Every time you push through when you feel like quitting, every time you stand up when you could stay down, every time you choose faith over fear, heaven takes notice. God sees the struggle even when people don't. And while the world sees the outcome, God sees the process. He honors the process. What you're fighting right now may be invisible to others, but it is shaping you for something visible, impactful, and significant. Greatness is not built in comfort. Purpose is not formed in ease. Destiny does not emerge from stillness. It is forged through pressure, fire, resistance, and refining. The unseen struggle is spiritual training, emotional strengthening, and mental sharpening. It is building resilience, patience, humility, depth, and endurance. These qualities cannot be taught in a classroom. They can only be learned in the heat of personal battles. Sometimes God hides you because He is growing you. He allows seasons where you feel overlooked, misunderstood, or underestimated, not to punish you, to prepare you. When a seed is planted, it disappears beneath the soil. No one sees it, no one applauds it, no one recognizes what's happening underground. To the outside world, it looks buried, but in truth, it is being prepared. Roots are being formed. Strength is being developed. Structure is being built. In due time, what was hidden will break through the surface. Your life is no different. The struggles you face are not the end. They are the incubation period of your purpose. They are the very evidence that God is working on something great within you. If you were not destined for more, the struggles wouldn't be this intense. If you were not meant to rise higher, the pressure wouldn't be this heavy. If your future weren't significant, care enough, the enemy wouldn't be fighting you this hard. The weight of your battle is a reflection of the weight of your calling. There are moments when you wonder why things feel so delayed, why breakthroughs seem so far away, why the journey feels uphill and lonely. But what you must understand is that God often does His best work in silence. His greatest transformations happen behind the scenes. Your tears, your late night prayers, your quiet endurance, they are not being ignored. They are building spiritual muscle. They are strengthening your faith. They are developing a version of you capable of carrying what you've been praying for. Every time you are stretched, you are being expanded. Every time you are tested, you are being prepared. Every time you feel broken, God is setting you up for rebuilding with greater strength and deeper purpose. You may feel like things are falling apart, but in reality, they are falling into place. Unseen struggles do not mean that God is absent. They mean He is active. They mean He is shaping something divine inside you that cannot be rushed, cannot be diminished, and cannot be taken away. Do not let the quiet seasons fool you. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not overlooked. You are being refined. You are not stuck. You are being strengthened. The process is uncomfortable because it is creating someone powerful, Silence is necessary because it eliminates distractions and forces you to grow from the inside out. The struggle is sacred because it is where God molds you into the person capable of living out the destiny designed for you. That there will come a day when everything you have endured will make sense. The wounds that hurt the most will become the wisdom that leads you. The obstacles that almost broke you will become the testimonies that inspire others. The tears you cried in secret will become the strength you carry in public. Your unseen struggle is not a sign that you are losing. It is a sign that you are being prepared to win in ways you cannot yet imagine. So keep going. Keep showing up. Keep trusting even when you feel unsure. Keep standing even when your legs shake. Keep believing even when the evidence is not visible. Something great is coming. Something powerful is forming. Something extraordinary is being prepared. And when it arrives, you will look back on the season. The nights you wanted to quit, the days you felt lost, the battles you fought alone. And you will realize they were not punishment. They were preparation. They were proof that God was working behind the scenes, building you into someone stronger, wiser, deeper, and ready. There are seasons in life when it feels like you are running in circles. You pray, you work, you hope, you give, you invest, yet it seems like nothing is moving. Doors stay closed. Answers stay delayed. Circumstances feel stagnant. And in those moments, the enemy loves to whisper lies into your mind. Maybe it's never going to happen. Maybe it's over. Maybe you are wasting your time, but hear me clearly today. The promise inside you is still active, even when progress seems invisible. Progress is not always visible. Growth is not always obvious. Breakthrough does not always come in ways you can immediately measure. Sometimes the seeds of your future are buried in soil you cannot see. Sometimes the foundations of your destiny are being laid beneath layers of struggle, patience, and preparation. What looks like nothing to the world is actually everything to God. And just because you cannot see the movement does not mean there is no movement at all. The promise inside you was placed there by God Himself. It was spoken into your spirit before you even had the ability to see it, understand it, or receive it. It is alive. It is powerful. It is active. It is working according to God's timing, not your timetable. And no external circumstance, delay, or human limitation can deactivate what God has already implanted. The promise is spiritual. It operates beyond natural sight, beyond immediate evidence, beyond your current understanding. Sometimes we become discouraged because we confuse visible results with God's activity. We wait for a breakthrough that can be measured by human standards, money, status, recognition, or promotion. And when these things do not arrive on our schedule, we assume the promise has expired. But progress is often invisible. God moves in ways we cannot perceive with our eyes or measure with our hands. He is building, strengthening, and orchestrating in the background while you are simply faithful to stay on the path. Think about a seed planted in the ground. When it is first buried, nothing appears to be happening. Days and weeks may pass with no visible change, but beneath the surface, roots are developing. The plant is strengthening itself. Life is building, energy is being stored, and then at the right time, what was hidden begins to rise and flourish. Your promise works the same way. It may not show immediately, but it is actively developing, growing, and preparing you for what God has called you to receive. The enemy wants you to focus on what you can see because visibility can create doubt. He wants you to measure your progress by external indicators and compare yourself to others. He wants you to believe that stagnation equals failure. Faith is not measured by visibility. Faith is measured by consistency, patience, and trust. When God's promise is inside you, it doesn't disappear because it's delayed. It doesn't fade because it's unseen. It continues to work even when the world doesn't recognize it. Every delay, every setback, every silent moment is part of the divine process. Sometimes God delays visible results to strengthen your character, deepen your faith, and prepare your heart for the responsibility of the promise. A promise delivered too early can be mishandled. A promise delivered without preparation can be squandered. But when God releases what He has planted in your life, it will not just meet your expectations. It will exceed them because it has been growing, developing, and maturing even when you couldn't see it. It is also important to understand that invisible progress does not mean inactivity. You may not see doors opening, but God is working on timing, connections, and preparation. You may not see recognition, but God is positioning people, opportunities, and resources for your arrival. You may not see movement in your circumstances, but God is moving in the spiritual realm, breaking chains, removing obstacles, and aligning forces in your favor. Is invisible now will become visible at the appointed time. Your unseen efforts are not wasted. Every act of faith, every step of obedience, every prayer spoken, every seed sown, and every tear shed is actively contributing to the fulfillment of your promise. The work God is doing in you right now, your growth, your refinement, your spiritual strengthening, is all part of the preparation for the manifestation of what He has spoken. The visible result is delayed. The spiritual work is active and unstoppable. It is also crucial to resist comparing your journey to others. Just because someone else appears to be advancing faster does not mean your promise is inactive. Everyone's journey is unique, and God's timing is perfectly aligned with His plan for you. While others may be seeing immediate results, you may be undergoing the kind of invisible work that will sustain the promise for a lifetime. Comparison is dangerous because it shifts your focus away from faith and toward doubt. Stay in your lane, trust the process, believe that what is inside you is still at work. Faith requires patience, faith requires endurance. Faith requires trusting that even in the silence, even in the waiting, the promise is alive. Remember this, God's promises do not fail. They do not expire. They do not rely on human circumstances. They are supernatural, and they operate in ways you cannot fully comprehend. Even when your eyes cannot see it, your promise is moving, growing, and aligning itself with God's perfect plan. You must also take action even when progress seems invisible. Faith is not passive. It is active belief. It is persistence. It is continuing to work, pray, and step forward even when results are not immediate, while you trust God to do what only He can do. He also expects you to walk in alignment, effort, and readiness. Invisible progress requires both faith and consistent action. Plant seeds, study, work, build relationships, pray, and serve, knowing that what you do now contributes to the eventual fulfillment of the promise. When the day arrives and the visible manifestation comes, it will be more than a reward. It will be a testimony. You will be able to look back at the unseen moments, the delays, the obstacles, and the quiet struggles and say, God was working even when I couldn't see it. My promise was active all along. The fulfillment will carry power, wisdom, and endurance because it has been prepared with divine patience. In conclusion, do not grow weary or give up just because progress seems invisible. Your promise is active. Your future is alive. Your calling is moving forward. God is orchestrating forces beyond what your eyes can perceive. Invisible work is powerful work. Silent preparation is divine preparation. Delays are not denials. Obstacles are not cancellations. The promise inside you is alive, active, and moving toward manifestation even when it is hidden from view. Trust the process. Believe the promise. Walk in faith. Stand firm in patience. Keep sowing, keep praying, keep serving, and keep trusting. One day, what has been working behind the scenes will burst into the visible, and you will know without a doubt that your faith, persistence, patience were never in vain. Life is not meant to be easy. Every person who has walked a path of purpose has faced battles, struggles, moments that tested them in ways they could never have imagined. These battles are not accidents. They are not punishments. They are not signs that you are failing or that God has abandoned you. On the contrary, your battles are confirmations. They reveal the weight, the significance, and the value of what God has placed inside you. Every challenge, every conflict, every trial you face is proof that you are carrying something precious, powerful, and divinely important. The enemy does not waste his efforts on what is ordinary or empty. He doesn't fight what lacks potential. He doesn't resist what has no influence or purpose. Battles always come to those who are meant to rise, to those who are called to lead, to those who are destined to impact the world. If your life is under attack, it is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of worth. If obstacles appear in your path, it is not a message of rejection. It is a message that the treasure within you is valuable. Your battles are confirmation that your gift, your calling, your dream, and your purpose are too important to go untested. Every struggle you endure is an opportunity for God to refine you. He uses opposition to strengthen your character, sharpen your skills, and deepen your wisdom. The pressure you face does not crush you unless you allow it to. It shapes you into someone who can withstand responsibility, influence, the challenges of leadership. Every trial is like a refining fire, burning away weakness, impatience, pride, and fear, leaving only what is strong, resilient, and aligned with God's purpose. When the enemy comes to challenge you, he is essentially saying, "This is worth fighting for. This is valuable." Opposition is recognition disguised as difficulty. The fact that your life is under pressure is proof that what you carry has weight. Every hardship confirms the importance of your potential, the relevance of your vision, and the power of your promise. The more intense the battle, greater the confirmation of the treasure within. Diamonds are formed under extreme pressure. Gold is refined in fire. Steel is strengthened through bending and shaping. Likewise, your value is confirmed in the furnace of adversity. Your spiritual gifts, your God-given abilities, your calling are being tested, not to take them away, but to prove their durability, authenticity, and strength. If your journey were free of struggle, you might never realize the depth of what you are truly capable of achieving. Your battles also reveal your potential for impact. When challenges appear, they test whether you are willing to persist despite discomfort. They measure your determination, your faith, and your resilience. They highlight whether you will rise when others fall, whether you will continue when others quit, and whether you will trust God when the world seems against you. The intensity of opposition is directly proportional to the value of what you are meant to release into the world. In other words, the greater the battle, the greater the impact you are destined to have. Many people fear conflict or avoid challenges because they associate them with failure or loss. The truth is the very battles you fear are the ones that confirm your significance. Each struggle is a message from God that says, you are meant for something greater. You carry something precious. Keep moving forward. Your adversities are not obstacles to keep you from your purpose. They are signposts proving that you are on the right path. It is also important to recognize that battles refine not only your abilities, but also your faith. When life tests you, it forces you to rely on God in ways that comfort and ease never could. In the midst of your challenges, your trust in His promises deepens, your dependence on His wisdom increases, and your understanding of His power becomes more intimate. Faith is strengthened through opposition. Resilience is built through perseverance, and character is confirmed through trials. Your battles reveal both the value of what you carry and the preparation required to fully embrace it. No gift is fully realized without testing. Calling is fully activated without opposition. No dream is fully appreciated without effort. The struggles you face today are not meaningless. They are forming the foundation for the future you are destined to live. They are proof that God does not give His greatest assignments to those who are unprepared, but to those who are willing to fight, endure, and remain faithful. Every challenge you overcome serves as a testimony not only to the world, but to yourself. Each victory, no matter how small, confirms that what you carry is not ordinary. It is divine. It is valuable. It is worth every tear, every struggle, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt. Your battles are not signs that you are failing. They are signs that you are being recognized for carrying something of significance, something that will impact lives beyond what you can imagine. Do not be discouraged when the road is difficult. Do not despair when the enemy seems relentless. Do not doubt your worth when the challenges feel overwhelming. Instead, let your battles remind you of your value. Let your struggles confirm your purpose. Let the opposition you face be a source of motivation, determination, and confidence. Every fight, every trial, every difficulty is evidence that what you carry is priceless. You were created for a purpose too great to be easily achieved. You were entrusted with a calling too important to be ignored. You were given gifts, abilities, and potential that are too significant to go unnoticed. And the battles you face are God's way of proving to you and to the world that what you carry is not ordinary. They confirm the weight of your assignment significance of your mission, and the necessity of perseverance. So when life tests you, remember your battles are not random, they are confirmations. They are proof. They are reminders that you carry something valuable, something worth protecting, something worth fighting for. The struggles you endure today are setting the stage for the triumphs of tomorrow. They are forming the strength you will need to walk boldly into your destiny. And they are reminding you that the promise, the calling, and the purpose within you are alive, active, and worthy of every ounce of effort you give. Stand firm. Keep pushing, keep believing, keep walking, even when the road is hard. The battles you face confirm the value of what you carry, and nothing in heaven or earth can take that away. Your life, your gifts, your purpose, and your calling are too important to be ignored, and every struggle is a divine affirmation of your significance. Life will test your focus. Every person who has walked a path of purpose has faced moments where distractions, doubts, and obstacles threaten to pull them off course. The enemy is relentless, and he knows that the moment you lose focus is the moment your progress stalls. Discouragement, fear, and impatience are the three strongest forces that can divert you from God's plan, and if you want to stay aligned with your calling, you must learn to reject them with courage, faith, and determination. Discouragement is subtle, but it is powerful. It starts as a whisper. You're not enough. You'll never succeed. You've tried before and failed. Before you know it, discouragement becomes a voice that drowns out the voice of God. It convinces you to give up before the blessing even arrives. But discouragement is a liar. It thrives on temporary setbacks, unmet expectations, and human limitations. The truth is, your value and your destiny are not determined by your failures. They are determined by God's promises. Every step you take, every prayer you pray, every effort you make counts, even if progress seems invisible. When you face discouragement, recognize it for what it is, an attempt to rob you of your focus. Reject it and remind yourself of the purpose you were created to fulfill. Fear is another weapon designed to derail your focus. Fear can appear as doubt, hesitation, or anxiety. Fear tells you to wait, to settle, to shrink back, or to choose comfort over courage. Fear clouds your vision and convinces you that the risk of moving forward outweighs the reward. Fear has no power over those who know God is bigger than the obstacles they face. Fear is defeated by faith, by clarity, by the unshakable knowledge that God's plan is greater than your circumstances. To stay focused, you must reject fear daily. Speak against it. Move forward despite it. Let the promise of God drown out the lies that fear whispers into your mind. Impatience is perhaps the most common enemy of focus in our fast-paced world. We want results immediately. We want answers instantly. We want breakthroughs yesterday. And when life doesn't align with our schedule, we become frustrated, restless, and distracted. Impatience causes us to make hasty decisions, take shortcuts, or abandon God's timing altogether. But God's timing is perfect. What is delayed is not denied. What seems late is often being prepared with greater wisdom, resources, and alignment. Reject impatience by trusting the process. Remind yourself that every season of waiting is a season of preparation. Every moment of delay is an opportunity for growth. Period of silence is a chance for refinement. Staying focused requires intention. It is not something that happens by accident. It is a conscious decision you make every day. You must guard your mind, your heart, and your spirit against anything that distracts you from your purpose. You must refuse to let discouragement, fear, and impatience dictate your actions. You must speak words of life, encouragement, and faith into your own spirit. The moment you allow negativity to take hold, your focus begins to waver. But the moment you consciously reject it, you regain clarity and momentum. One way to reject discouragement, fear, and impatience is by keeping your eyes fixed on your vision and your promise. When your mind is anchored to the purpose God has placed on your life, distractions lose their power. You are less likely to be swayed by temporary setbacks or the opinions of others. Your focus becomes unshakable because it is not dependent on circumstances, it is dependent on God. Remind yourself daily of the promise you are walking toward. Visualize the outcome. Speak it over your life. Let it fill your mind with hope and determination. Another key to staying focused is surrounding yourself with the right influence. People who uplift, encourage, and hold you accountable can reinforce your focus. They can remind you of your potential, help you navigate challenges, and strengthen your resolve. At the same time, distance yourself from toxic voices that fuel discouragement, fear, or impatience. Negative words, criticism, doubt from others can be powerful distractions if allowed to take root. Protect your focus by cultivating relationships that align with your purpose. Spiritual disciplines are also critical in maintaining focus. Prayer, meditation on scripture, worship, and reflection are tools that strengthen your spirit and sharpen your vision. They remind you of God's power, His faithfulness, and His promises. They equip you to reject the voices of discouragement, fear, and impatience. When you spend time in God's presence, your perspective shifts. You begin to see setbacks as temporary delays, as preparation, and challenges as opportunities for growth. Your focus becomes fueled not by circumstances, but by conviction, faith, and hope. Consistency is another element of maintaining focus. It's not enough to resist distractions. Once, you must do so repeatedly. Every day, every decision, every thought matters. Focus is built through repeated acts of discipline. Even when you don't feel like it, the more consistent you are in rejecting discouragement, fear, impatience, the stronger your mental, emotional, and spiritual muscles become. Over time, you develop the ability to stay aligned with your purpose no matter what storms arise. Remember that staying focused is also about perspective. When you view life through a lens of faith, you understand that every challenge is temporary and every trial has a purpose. Discouragement reminds you of what hasn't happened yet, but focus reminds you of what is promised. Fear points to what could go wrong, but focus keeps your eyes on what God can do. Impatience urges you to rush, but focus teaches you the value of timing. Perspective allows you to rise above distractions and stay committed to the course God has set for you. Finally, staying focused requires perseverance. The journey toward your purpose is rarely easy. You will face obstacles, criticism, and moments of doubt. But every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every act of resistance against discouragement, fear, and impatience strengthens your character. Every time you choose faith over frustration, courage over doubt, and patience over hurry, you grow closer to the fulfillment of your calling. Perseverance ensures that even in the face of adversity, you remain steadfast, committed, and aligned with God's plan. In conclusion, focus is the bridge between your potential and your fulfillment. Discouragement, fear, and impatience are intentional strategies designed to divert you from your destiny. But when you consciously reject them, your mind becomes clear, your spirit becomes strong, and your path becomes aligned with God's plan. Anchor yourself in the promise, surround yourself with supportive influences, cultivate spiritual disciplines, maintain consistency, adjust your perspective, and persevere through the trials. Your destiny is too important to be compromised by temporary emotions or external distractions. Promise God placed in your life is worth every effort to protect your focus. Reject discouragement, reject fear, reject impatience, stand firm, keep moving forward, and remain focused on the vision that God has set before you. There is a truth in life that no circumstance can change, no challenge can erase, and no enemy can overturn. God is faithful. His faithfulness is not dependent on your strength, your understanding, your ability to remain steadfast. It is rooted in His nature, His character, and His promises. Every word He has spoken, every covenant He has made, every vision He has placed within your heart is guaranteed because of His unchanging faithfulness. Even when life seems uncertain, even when obstacles rise, even when progress seems slow, God's faithfulness ensures that what He has promised will come to pass. Faithfulness is more than reliability. It is God's unwavering commitment to His word. When God makes a promise, it is not a suggestion. It is not conditional upon human perfection or timing. It is a declaration of His will, His plan, and His love. He is not like humans who may falter, forget, or change their mind. God is eternal, unchanging, omnipotent. Therefore, when he promises, you can trust that he is already working behind the scenes to bring that promise to fulfillment. Your responsibility is to trust, to remain faithful, and to align yourself with his timing. Many people struggle with doubt because they cannot see the full picture. They pray, they believe, they hope, and yet circumstances appear contrary. But God's faithfulness is not measured by immediate results. It is measured by the certainty that what he has spoken will manifest regardless of visible evidence. The invisible workings of God are always active. He is orchestrating details, preparing opportunities, strengthening your heart, and arranging resources. Even when you cannot see the path, it is being paved. Even when the timeline seems delayed, it is being synchronized. Even when doors seem closed, they are being aligned for the right moment. Consider the examples of faith in Scripture. Abraham waited decades for the promise of a child, and though time passed, God's faithfulness never wavered. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. Yet God's faithfulness elevated him to a place of influence far beyond what he could imagine. David faced years of trials before he was crowned king. Promises spoken over his life were fulfilled because God is faithful. In every story, the principle remains the same: faithfulness guarantees fulfillment, even when the journey is long, challenging, and unpredictable. It is important to understand that God's faithfulness does not always operate on human timelines. Delays are not denials. Setbacks are not cancellations. Waiting seasons are part of the preparation for the promise. While you are waiting, God is equipping you with the wisdom, strength, and discernment needed to fully receive and steward the blessing. His faithfulness ensures that when the time comes, you will not only receive what was promised, but will be ready to handle it with maturity, grace, and wisdom. God's faithfulness also guarantees protection over every promise. The enemy may try to deceive you, distract you, or attack your dreams. He cannot change what God has decreed. Every word God has spoken carries power, and his promises cannot fail. The obstacles you face are temporary, but his faithfulness is eternal. Even when you encounter opposition, it only confirms the value of the promise. The greater the resistance, the greater the significance of what God has placed in your life. His faithfulness ensures that the promise will endure, and you will see the outcome. Faith in God's promises requires patience and trust. Patience is not simply waiting, it is trusting while you wait. It is maintaining confidence in God's word, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Trust is not passive, it is active, requiring daily surrender, prayer, obedience, and alignment with his will. The more you cultivate patience and trust, the more you position yourself to receive the fullness of the promise. Faith is strengthened through challenges, and God's faithfulness is revealed through endurance. The fulfillment of God's promises also relies on his perfect timing. Humans often measure success by speed and immediate results, but God measures by wisdom, alignment, and the optimal moment. A promise fulfilled too early may be mishandled. A promise fulfilled too late may miss its impact. God's faithfulness ensures that every promise is fulfilled in the perfect way, at the perfect time, and for the ultimate good of his plan. You can trust that his timing is never late, it is always precise. Moreover, God's faithfulness guarantees consistency. He does not act unpredictably. He does not speak one thing and do another. His word is steadfast, his promises are certain, and his covenant with you is secure. The same God who created the universe, who parts seas, who raises the dead, who sustains life every day is the same God who is working faithfully to fulfill every promise over your life. If he has promised it, he will see it through. Your role in receiving God's promises is to remain aligned, stay faithful in prayer, consistent in obedience, and steadfast in hope. The more you anchor your life in his faithfulness, the less influence fear, doubt, and discouragement will have over you. Your confidence in God's character strengthens your faith in his word. When challenges arise, you will stand firm because you know that the one who promised is faithful. When others doubt, you will not be shaken because your trust is not in circumstances, but in God. Finally, understand that God's faithfulness is not just about fulfilling promises. It is about demonstrating his glory and love through them. Every fulfilled promise is a testimony of his character, a reflection of his mercy, and evidence of his commitment to his children. when a promise comes to pass, validates the patience you exercised, the faith you maintained, and the endurance you displayed. The fulfillment of God's promises magnifies his name, encourages others, and strengthens the faith of generations. In conclusion, God's faithfulness guarantees the fulfillment of every promise he made. Nothing can thwart it, nothing can delay it indefinitely, and nothing can negate it. Even in seasons of waiting, silence, and apparent stagnation, God is actively working to bring his word to pass. Trust his timing, rely on his character, stand firm in faith, remain patient, obedient, and steadfast. The promises spoken over your life are alive, active, and backed by the unchanging faithfulness of God. Take heart, because the same God who has never failed before will not fail you now. What he has promised will come to pass, and his faithfulness will carry you through every trial, every delay, and every challenge until the fulfillment is revealed in your life. Hold fast, stay focused. Never forget God's faithfulness guarantees your victory.